Hey, what's up, guys? Tuki here, back again with another episode of my Ottawa Senators franchise mode series right here on NHL 18. And yes, in the last episode, we went through things a little bit slowly, particularly with the preseason simming. However, we did so to give you guys options, but also to answer a very important question. Would Tyroning make it out of camp? And the people have spoken. And yes, he has. Now, I will say this. I hope people realize, this isn't me, copying X-Tech or anything. It's me being in on the joke. I consider Brent a friend, at least within the community. He's done quite a bit for my channel, spreading the word in the past. So, it's all in good fun with the whole Tyroning thing, even making the AHL team's jerseys in the Seattle series, the Storm Bears. It's all in good fun. I'm not taking a shot at him or anything like that. But Tyroning has, in fact, made it out of camp. And these are the lines that we are going to be going with to start this season. So the top line remains the same from last year. Hoffman, Duchesne, Stone. Second line, Fiala, Colin White, who's now a playmaker. He was a two-way previously. And Bobby Ryan, who have changed to a power forward. I'm hoping that he's not the best sniper in the world. I'm hoping with those attributes, mainly the 88 strength, that he'll kind of park himself in front of goal a little bit more. I want to see how power forward works out for him as a sniper. Last year, he put up 45 points. It was a bit of a return to form. Some of the attention this season, eyes are on Bobby Ryan this year, especially with that contract and that cap hit that he still has. The third line, as I mentioned, I wanted to have more of an offensive feel. We signed Nikita Gusev, who should be magic for us, along with Logan Brown, of course, and Tyroning, who made the team. And we get to the fourth line. It is... I'm intrigued to see what happens. Dzingel and Zach Smith did very well on the fourth line last year alongside Nick Paul. This year we have J.G. Pageau, who goes to the fourth line. I've changed him over to a two-way from a playmaker. We're not going to be getting the most out of Pageau, at least offensively, by having him on the fourth line. But there's no doubt having a player of this caliber on our fourth line is tremendous. And considering we can afford to do so, there's really no reason as to why we shouldn't, aside from potentially the development of some players, that being Nick Paul and Gabriel Gagne. That said, this team isn't set in stone. Mark Stone. Sorry, that was awful. This team isn't set in stone. If I notice someone struggling, if something's not working, we do still have the ability to make certain changes because of the players we have on the team. The defense, again, is what you would expect with Chabot and Carlson. Cody Ceci with Brandon Montour, who's been changed over to a two-way. Wolanin with Yegor Rykov, who's been changed from a two-way to a defensive D-man. As was pointed out, previously a Rangers prospect, he went to the Rangers in the Michael Grabner deal. This past deadline or right around then. Of course, the goaltending is set. Igor Shesterkin will be between the pipes. Craig Anderson, a part of the tandem. He's a little bit banged up this preseason. He'll be fine for the start of the regular season. And as far as the power play goes, only two defensemen, Carlson and Chabot. Otherwise, the top nine, with the exception of Logan Brown, will be getting power play time. I feel like that's the right way to go. The penalty kill, Pageau, Smith, Brown, and Dzingel. So I'm liking the look of the team. But in the AHL, oh my God, this top line. Kravtsov with his 90 offensive awareness, Gersich with an 84, and an 86 for Drake Batherson, who I swear still looks like Nash's little brother or something. I don't know. Am I the only one who sees somewhat of a similarity? Regardless, that top line should be just amazing. Jason Robertson is on the second line with Halapik and Adam Masherin. The third line, Alex Formenton with Noah Gregor and Nathan Bastian. And then the fourth line, Nick Paul. I don't know. If he gets called up, he's going to be on the fourth line. But Nick Paul, Shane Bowers, who again is not fourth line ready for the NHL level, despite what the game says, and Gabriel Gagne. This was potentially the fourth line. You could argue making them a little bit better or giving them a little bit more ice time, but I am going to start them off on the fourth line. So potentially a little bit risky. Defensively, exactly what you'd expect. Tramkin and Jaros, Stillman, Lajoie, Harper, and Graham Leopold. The goaltenders, Skinner and Gustafsson. So as you would expect, again, and I hate to keep doing that, but really with how we played out the last episode, we have that ridiculous amount of depth. We have no reason to make any trades yet, but the possibility is there. We do have that logjam of prospects, and fingers crossed it works out. I see no reason as to why it wouldn't. Either players develop or they don't, and we trade them out for picks, other prospects, whatever. We have a minor version right now of a prospect factory. It's not exactly at Rebuilding Hockeytown level, and I reference that series a lot, especially when it comes to consistently having high-end prospects and keeping that constant turnover. If you're not familiar with that series, as Zach Kassian will take Gusev's spot, so Kassian's actually going to have power play time here. If you're not familiar with that series, I'd recommend checking it out. Number one, it's one of my more popular series that I've ever done, as Kevin Fiala is also out too. I'm going to go assistant coach, replace player. If Gusev isn't back, that would have put Borowiecki in on offense for those 2 games, which is a little bit of a disaster. Gusev was back. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to go offensively here. I'm going to go to Borowiecki. We're going to go over to Kassian and get Gusev back onto his proper lines, and then Borowiecki will be out for Kassian. So Kassian essentially has Fiala's role right now. Gusev is back where he is supposed to be. I'm just going to leave Kassian there for the sake of simplicity. So Zach Kassian will have that little bit of time here for the next month for the next week until Kevin Fiala is good to go. We do pick up a win against Montreal and Boston, which is nice after dropping 2 straight, and we'll get Kevin Fiala back into the lineup here. But case in point, I'm excited to see how this team does. So many options moving forward. It's just now how things develop, and obviously when you're in this type of situation, still somewhat of a rebuilding team. Yes, we have kind of abused the RFA system at times. We've also signed quite a few of the fringe free agents. A lot of those guys like Rykhoff that we added, Nikita Trampkin as well. It doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to work out, but we've done a good enough job keeping this team competitive, I'd say, or at least putting it into a somewhat decent spot. I wouldn't necessarily say competitive, seeing as we have a losing record right now. At the end of November, we'll do our first stat check and see what's really going wrong here as Pittsburgh. I don't know if you noticed, like I did, they have a dominant record, and unfortunately, our struggles are continuing. Let's sim the last day of November against the Devils. Was it a win? It was 6-4. All right, so at the end of November, it is December 1st. We find ourselves in 6th in the division, 7 points back of the Florida Panthers, who find themselves in 3rd. Mark Stone is leading this team in points with 18 points in 26 games. I'm a little bit disappointed in the goal scoring. Hoffman, 17 points so far in 26 games. That's okay. That's okay. Not too tremendous. 15 points for Duchesne and the 18 points for Stone. Second line, Kevin Fiala has been disappointing thus far. 9 points in 21 games. I suppose it makes sense given where the top goals, the top line's point totals are. That makes sense, but again, it is disappointing. The 10 points for Colin White is okay given the circumstances, and 8 points for Bobby Ryan. So goal scoring is down amongst the top 6, but the second line is at least staying close to the top line in terms of that development. Nikita Gusev, only 6 points. He's a -10. 4 points for Brown, 5 points for Ty Ronning. In terms of a plus-minus, they're getting ripped apart, but then again, pretty much everybody is. Then the fourth line, 8 points for Dzingel, 6 for Pajot, and 6 for Zach Smith. So we're giving up a lot of goals, and the goal scoring hasn't quite been there. Even Thomas Chabot, 13 points, a -10. We are not good defensively. Some point totals are okay, but defensively, this team is bad. Which is crazy, considering that Craig Anderson has 12 appearances with a .921 save percentage, 5 wins, and a shutout. Shesterkin with a .910. 14 games played, though, only 4 wins. So despite that save percentage not being completely abysmal, that's about league average, if not slightly below, still it's not exactly what we're hoping for. So something is not clicking with this team right now. Down in the AHL, 20 points for Kravtsov, the 19 for Gersic, and the 16 for Batherson. So that top line is at least performing the way I thought they would. I'm going to hold off on making any changes. While this team's obviously struggling defensively and the goaltending hasn't been completely perfect, I'm willing to give the members of this team every opportunity to try and turn it around. Mainly because if we decide to go a different direction, as Trampkin goes down, we'll have the assistant coach replace the player. If we decide to go a different direction and decide to start making moves, I'm not sure who stays, who goes where. That's a whole different box of worms, a can of worms. Box of worms? Hey, that's a hell of a thing. It's a whole different box of worms. As Rykov is also down injured for the next 2 weeks. Whole different can of worms. It's Pandora's box. We don't want to open it. As Trampkin is back. Let's go over to the AHL defense and take out Jordan Murray for him. We actually don't have that much defensive depth right now. It's basically all players that are actually kind of worth keeping in the lineup. As we are losing games left and right, and Shesterkin goes down until Christmas. Unfortunate. Good thing is we have Tomek that we can call up. Keep it quick and easy changer. Keep it simple. So let's go over to goaltending. And we'll bring in Tomek for Anderson. And of course, Anderson will be the starter. Of course, it's good too because we don't have to fix the AHL lines. We do get the win against Edmonton, a loss to St. Louis. So trading wins and losses here. Rykov is back for the main team. So Borowiecki will take a seat. With Yegor Rykov back. I'm really intrigued to see here what we're looking like as Shesterkin's back. I want to see what we're looking like come January 1st. Obviously, the closer we get to the deadline, the sooner we're going to have to decide what exactly we want to do with the team. We'll put Shesterkin back in, and I won't even send down Tomek yet. We won't do that unless there's an injury at the AHL level, because otherwise he's just going to sit as a healthy scratch anyway. So it's not a very big deal. As we do hit January 1st with a 14, 18, and 7 record, the Belleville Sens at 23 wins so far this year. Let's take a look as we are currently 12 points back of Florida. So right now, unless we pull off a miracle, we are not a playoff team. To the surprise of pretty much nobody, but in a way, it is kind of surprising. Mike Hoffman, just, again, the goal scoring, 22 points in 39 games. I mean, case in point as to... I'll show you, again, case in point to why I'm disappointed, is I guarantee we'll see somebody here on the league scoring list that has no business being ahead of Mike Hoffman. 22 points again in 39 games. Let's take a look here. You see what Barzal and Eberle are doing. I mean, these are where the top scorers are. Kaprizov's at 36 points. Kyle Palmieri's at 36. Dubois, Hosang. So the Islanders have some really good goal scoring this season. Daniel Sprong, Niederreiter has 10 more points. There has to be that one example of a forward where it's like, okay, really? Beauvillier. Nearly that example. Let's take a look here. Oliver Bjorkstrand. More points than Mike Hoffman. Sam Bennett, Milan Lucic, Bo Horvat, Mark Jankowski. No disrespect to Mark Jankowski. Nick Ritchie, Michael Grabner. I think I've proven my point here in terms of the top line is simply not getting it done, and I'm not very happy about it. So obviously, despite the disappointment, there's not a whole hell of a lot we can do. I mean, sure, we could completely tank it and try to trade Hoffman. I mean, Duchesne's still signed until the end of time. Stone has one hell of a deal. Hoffman's 30. I suppose that is potentially a question. I mean, he's having such a down year. I guess everyone on this team is. I wonder what Hoffman's trade value is. And whether or not it would actually be worth moving him if he's not going to be turning it around. And that is another question, too, as far as is he willing to re-sign. He has decent value. We could get something significant back from Mike Hoffman. Especially if a team has a player or prospect, just preferably a prospect on the block, that we could then get for that much more, for that much cheaper, for that much less. Hoffman doesn't want to re-sign as it is. And actually, let's take a look here. So goaltenders, Craig Anderson's interested in coming back, but that's not going to happen. I'm going to let him walk or potentially trade him to a contender that needs a backup goaltender. Thomas Chabot will be staying. Cody Ceci is not interested in staying. Wolanin and Borowiecki are. So you're talking about Anderson, Ceci. We could try to flip Cassian, even though there's not that much there. Hoffman's not looking to resign. Dzingel is. And he's continuing to do well in the bottom six role. Logan Brown's looking to come back. Pajot is not. So we could absolutely sell the farm here. I mean, there is a lot that we could move if we just decided to cut ties and say, all right, you're members of the Ottawa core in real life, but at this point in time, it's time to go. And again, as we get closer to the deadline, we'll have to make that decision. For the moment, as Emmy is snoring, and it's weird. Sorry, distracted by my dog. As we get closer to the deadline, we're going to have to make that decision. As Logan Brown goes down to a concussion, he is out for the next month. We have Zach Cassian in at center right now, which isn't ideal, but it's third line and we're losing games anyway. As far as no trade offers, obviously I don't really care. We've lost 4 out of our first 5 this month. It's a very light schedule here in January, but we are continuing to just drop game after game after game. So a prior playoff appearance certainly seems like a one and done, how the hell did that happen type scenario, as Pajot breaks his nose. And in terms of a healthy scratch, okay, you know what? Does it really matter? I don't think it does. I'll put Borowiecki in on the penalty kill. I mean, here, you know what? I'll have to change that at least. Can Dzingel play center? He can. All right, so we'll do that. Our fourth line's a mess. We'll have Dzingel as third line center, and then I have to go to the penalty kill. And we'll have Borowiecki on the penalty kill. Should change to Dzingel and Cassian. So it's a little bit rough right now. Hoffman up to 28 points. Duchesne at 21. 29 for Mark Stone. Fiala. Colin White at 21. Bobby Ryan is just, oh God, he's just terrible. Gusev, the point totals aren't quite where I was hoping. Same for Dzingel. Same for Ronning. This team just, it doesn't have it. This team just doesn't have it. The point totals defensively, at least among the big-time players, are nice. Like, I'm not even being like, oh, well, plus-minuses on these defenders are terrible. Who cares? Like, no, our goaltending shit. Our defense isn't getting it done. Our offensive firepower is just, it's not there. This team just does not have it. The big question is, do we just blow it up? Or do we keep guys like Hoffman in hopes that, yeah, we're bad this season, but maybe next year? I mean, we're not making the playoffs. That's out of the question already. It's just, how big do we want to go with potentially getting rid of players? And I mean, I'm talking just maybe seeing what I can get for Bobby Ryan, seeing if I can get a team to take him. But also, Hoffman doesn't want to come back, and I really don't want to pay him that much more money, as there was a minor league deal. Scandella, Coleman, and a 6 for Isaac Ratcliffe and Cameron Crotty. But it's like you look at guys like Hoffman, you look at guys like Cody Ceci, you might as well just get rid of them, right? Makes sense. It does make sense. And I mean, again, I'll take a look at the trade player screen. We're a month out from the deadline. Goaltending. Anderson is a sieve this season. He's 38 years old on the last year of his deal. But when you talk about potentially trading him, is there a team where it makes sense? A team that could use a better backup? Is Ryan Miller still technically a backup? He is. So is there a team, potentially a playoff team, that just doesn't really have a defined backup? I'd prefer to find that perfect kind of mix. Even Cam Ward's still listed as a backup. Michael Hutchinson's listed as a backup here. Colorado has a freaking ridiculous influx of goaltenders for no reason whatsoever. Detroit's not a playoff team. But in a way, you know, it might make sense to flip them that way. Edmonton's battling. They're not quite in it. Of course, we traded them Mike Condon and Sandstrom to try and help them out. And even then, that hasn't worked out too well for them. As far as the salary cap available, we could make that deal work. It'd be a little bit close, but we could get a deal done with Edmonton. I'd prefer to make a deal with Edmonton over Detroit. There's got to be someone else here. Minnesota, they have no cap space whatsoever. They could certainly use an improvement on Capo Kakkonen. They're not exactly a playoff team either, but Edmonton, Minnesota, Lindgren is a backup goalie. Edmonton and Minnesota. I just want to use this as an example of trying to find a fit for Craig Anderson. I'd do something similar for Bobby Ryan. I'd do it off screen and try to just work out these trades if we decide to just fully blow it up. Tampa, absolutely a playoff team and could use better backup goaltending other than Philippe DeRozier's. Tampa's the perfect team. Cut Tampa a deal, take back one of their shit contracts, improve their defense, but try to get something back in return. Let me take a look at Winnipeg. Yeah, Tampa's perfect. Tampa is perfect. Who do they want to move? I know they had Connor Ingram listed there. Cal Foote. Cal Foote's right there for the taking, as is Alexei Lepanov. Cal Foote, Taylor Radish, Alexei Lepanov. You can't tell me it wouldn't be a half-decent idea to go after Cal Foote. I mean, Jesus Christ, the trade values they have. And then even looking here at salary, take back Ryan Callahan for the rest of the season. 1 year left. No trade value whatsoever. That works itself out perfectly. We improve your backup goaltending. We take Ryan Callahan's contract because we can afford to do so. It's that much worse. In return, we get Cal Foote. I don't see how that doesn't work out absolutely perfectly, you know? We'd also have to give up, say like a Parker Kelly, just kind of as a throwaway in that deal. The value is a little bit in their favor, but we work out a draft pick. We don't even have to necessarily go for Cal Foote, but that's just an example. Again, I could even go for... Actually, I'd still probably go for Cal Foote. Put it this way. I think this is going to be a shorter episode. Or not. I gotta be honest, I can't help but think, even if I leave it up to the consensus of, hey, do we blow this up? It's just going to be yes. It's going to be yes. Why wouldn't we? Why wouldn't we? Will this deal go through? It won't. How much more will it take to get this deal done? I'm trading Craig Anderson to Tampa. And I'm going to try like hell to get Cal Foote back. Cassian, they wouldn't be able to afford. I don't want to give up Gusev. Who do I have that I can throw into this deal? As far as unsigned players or anybody else that makes sense. So Sav Garodny, Boomhauer. What do you say now? Still no? Yeah, which means someone like Linus Neiman's not going to help out all that much. No. Alright, well, I do really want Cal Foote. He'd be an interesting addition to this system. Let's sort by this year's picks. Again, look at the trade value of our pick. We have to be the worst team in the league. What if we use the Anaheim 4th? How close are we now? Not particularly interested. What if we use the Edmonton 4th as well? Still not all that close. Again, having to offer Callahan doesn't really help, since they don't want to move him. 2 4th-round picks is not enough. What about the Columbus 3rd? So Anderson, Kelly, and a 3rd for Callahan and Foote. Certainly worth it for us. Not apparently worth it for them. Come on now. Let's make this simple, Tampa, please. I really don't want to have to go for a low top 6 forward like a Gutman or anything like that. And I don't have to because it went through. Craig Anderson, Parker Kelly, a 3rd and 2 4ths to Tampa for Ryan Callahan and Cal Foote. With that move, I am officially committing to making moves and rebuilding this team. We have traded Craig Anderson to a contender at 38 years old. He's had a bad season here, but in Tampa, where he's not one of the main men, I mean, he's behind Vasilevsky, behind a tremendous team. I think Craig Anderson has a shot at getting a cup this year. And with that, we also need a backup. And I signed him in the USA series as well. I kind of want to go for Hayden Hockey, but then again, Anton Khudobin. I don't know if Hayden Hockey is going to get any better. That's the only issue. He's at least not going to hit Anton Khudobin level. I'm going to try to bring Dobby in for the rest of the year, at least as a solid backup option to Shesterkin, and that way we don't have to rely on Tomek. Let me look at the contracts again. Cody Ceci, I believe, did not want to re-sign. Let's do this. It's time. Unlike the Montreal series, we're not going to wait until the very last minute to make these moves. I mean, number one, because it's already fallen apart. So let's go ahead and work on re-signing people and trying to get these contracts set for next year. And the first step there, well, Thomas Chabot's an RFA, so I'm not as worried about him. Ceci will be traded. Wolanin, I'm not sold on. It depends on what he's looking for. Oh, I don't know, Wolanin. That's a bit much. And then Borowiecki, I mean, he's not looking for much. I could continue to keep him as the 7th man. But Cody Ceci's gone. Last year he was solid, though. 14 points, a plus 15. But I think it'd be for the best to get rid of Cody Ceci. Again, he doesn't want to re-sign, so we're talking $4 million for a top 4 defenseman, which isn't terrible, but I'd prefer to spend that on an 84, 85 overall guy. So Cody Ceci is 100% gone. Again, Callahan's willing to re-sign. He has no value. We're just going to keep him for the rest of the year. Same thing with Kassian. He has really no value. We're just keep him for the rest of the year. Dzingel, I'm leaning towards keeping. He's been pretty good for us. Hoffman's gone. Pageau's gone. Ceci's gone. I don't want... Actually, hold on. Let me double check. Let me double check what Pageau's looking for. 2.2 is not bad. 2.2 isn't bad. And it's not that I even want to get rid of Mike Hoffman, but it just makes sense to do so. It's like what? So we keep him for next year, however long, and we're still pretty much going to be garbage while we wait for prospects to develop. Makes sense to get rid of him. Let's do it. Let's burn this bitch down and start over. So, Cody Ceci, you are going to be on your way out. I'd prefer it to be a team that actually wants you, and Winnipeg is actually a half interesting option. Do they have anybody on the block? And again, I'd prefer it to be players on the block, since the value will be a little bit, it'll be a little bit easier to get a contender. And speaking of contenders, Vancouver apparently doing quite well. Jack McBain, Adam Gaudette, Vertanen. There's no one there for us. Toronto, no thank you. I'm not trading within the division again. And Tampa is an exception just because, again, it's a 38-year-old goaltender. Let me take a look at the records here. Pittsburgh, I'd prefer a Western Conference contender, I gotta admit. And indeed, the Islanders are doing quite well. Not surprising, given their goal scoring. Nashville, I don't really think you need a defenseman, do you? You do not. You absolutely do not. Jeez, the Western Conference is looking weak with every team I've seen. How about Colorado? Do you need defensive help? 2, 3, 4, 5. Yes, you do. Rather than relying on Bieksa, Spiza, and Graves, you could use one extra guy. So are you getting rid of anybody interesting? Mellock. Not overly interesting. Just kind of more of the same in terms of the prospects we already have. But I could use you in a draft pick for Ceci. I think I'm willing to do that, but let me double check here. So Colorado, Calgary could work. They have a winning record despite being listed as rebuilders, so I doubt they're looking to move anybody. Yeah, nobody that we're overly interested in. And then hopefuls there. Yeah, you know what? Colorado's the team. They need defensive help. I'm willing to take on Mellock and hopefully draft picks as well, and we'll send Cody Ceci out to Colorado. So Mellock, a second, a third, and I'm going to play it a little bit safe again with another third next year if they're willing to do it. So Mellock, a second and 2/3, rejected, which is fine. I will give up some of our weaker players here. So the Zavgorodny, Boomhauer, and Neiman. I'm interested in Spencer Moe just because of his development. Will that go through? No, it will not. We'll take out the 3rd round pick next year, and we'll make it a 4th round pick this year. We'll just try to rob them blind with some picks. Still rejected. All right, never mind. We'll try the 5th. So 2nd, a 3rd, and a 5th, along with Mellock for Ceci and some prospects. Still not even close, apparently. Really? Is it the 3rd rounder that they have an issue with? Must be. It's that 3rd round pick that they really have an issue with. How about how about 2/4? A 2nd and 2/4? I'm good with that if you are. You are not good with it. How about a 2nd, a 4th, and a 5th next year? Colorado, for the love of God. Like, that's a fair deal, man. You're driving a hard bargain here. You're driving a very hard bargain. Will that go through? Just a 2nd and a 4th? Oh my God. I just don't think they want to move the 2nd, which, like, come on, man. A 2nd and a 5th? Just a bit low. You have some nerve. All right. A 6th and your next 2 7ths. I just want the 2nd round pick for Ceci more than anything. Mellock and a 2nd for Ceci, basically. You bitches. Let me take off the 7th. You bitches. That's unbelievable. I'll do it, though, just because it's the perfect landing spot and I don't feel like hunting elsewhere. Mellock, 2 seconds, or a 2nd and 2 7ths for Ceci and prospects. Thank God, 1 7th. So, Cody Ceci is off to Ottawa. We get Mellock back, but most importantly, a 2nd round pick. Mellock just kind of joins the clutter on this particular team. We're going to send him and Calfoot down. And we'll keep Borowiecki here, actually. We're going to call up Nikita Trampkin for the moment. And we will just go best lines for now with every roster. So that is done. Ceci is gone. Craig Anderson is gone. The big question is Noah Dobson's an 82 right now. Oh my God, he's going to be amazing for us. He's a regular Thomas Chabot at this point. Pajot, Dzingel. Well, Dzingel, again, I'm all right with keeping as a bottom 6 guy, and he's going to have an increased role moving forward here. It's just, what do we do with Pajot, who's willing to sign for cheap? Again, could be a 3rd line guy for us, even a 2nd line guy. The big question is Hoffman. I mean, Pajot and Dzingel, I'll probably leave that up to you guys with it being such an inconsequential move. I should leave the Hoffman thing up, but let me see if I can find a deal for Hoffman that makes sense. And Comtois, Moran, and Kovanov doesn't exactly make a ton of sense. I mean, we could go draft picks, though, with that. Like, add in these 3 and then just put more emphasis on the draft picks. But Anaheim, despite being listed as contenders, aren't doing tremendously well this season. Same thing with the Coyotes. So as a result of the hopeful tag, they're not going to have anything listed too highly. Calgary has a winning record, but again, nobody on the block that I'm interested in. I don't want to move him to Carolina. It would be hilarious to move him to Chicago. They don't want him, and they have nobody on the block. Colorado, because of the acquisition of Ceci, have put Quentin Hughes and Connor Timmins on the block. And obviously, the acquisition of Quentin Hughes could be incredible. Dallas, nobody there for us. Edmonton, nobody there for us. Certainly not Ryan Strome. Los Angeles Kings, Jake Muzzin, Hjalmarsson. Jesus, I forgot that they acquired Hjalmarsson in this run. Minnesota probably doesn't have anybody. They have exactly that, nobody. Nashville with Grant Mishmash, Tessier, Brooke, Patrick Harper, and Rem Pitlick. So it'd be kind of a similar situation to what we had seen in Anaheim, if not a slightly better situation. So I'd say right now the favorites for this potential trade would have to be Colorado and Nashville. Again, I'd prefer to move him out to a Western Conference team as to not have to deal with him consistently. There's really nobody there in San Jose. St. Louis, James Neal, Dominic Bach. Yeah, it's not in a great situation there. Vancouver, nobody great there. Again, with Hoffman, I don't have to move them for someone who's on. I don't have to move him for someone who's on the block, but you do. You get to make it a little bit more fair in terms of value. I think I'm good with the moves that I've made so far. I think I'm good. I'm gonna move forward a couple of days. I'm gonna wait to see until for Anton Khudobin to be able to answer this offer, which he should be able to. I think I have the spot. They put DeRozier on waivers. I'm going to decline that, although I might wish. That means I have a roster spot, actually, so it's fine. Anton Khudobin has accepted. So let me set up the lineup. I'm going to sim a little bit further. We'll take one more look at the stats, and then we'll call it. I'm going to leave it up to you guys. Dzingel, Pageau, Hoffman. What do we do? I went forward, traded Craig Anderson, which, again, I feel like was the right decision. I don't think there'll be any controversy in that. Cody Ceci's decent. I wasn't going to pay him that much money, though. There was no way. So, overall, I think we're looking okay, but the big decision comes with the forwards that we currently have on this team. So, do we have 2 players scratch? Oh, that's right, we have Ryan Callahan on this team now. Completely forgot about that. So, Callahan and Cassian, I'm going to try to send both down. Both made it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go best lines and then call them back up as healthy scratches. I'm not even going to worry about playing them right now unless we make those changes. So let's go and set up the team as it was. That works. Defensively, Montour can go with Trampkin. That's fine. Actually, you know what? I'm going to put Wolanin with Montour, Trampkin with Rykov. So there we go. The team says, as far as the power play and the penalty kill, who gives a shit? We're terrible. And then down in the AHL, just let me make sure we have the right players in the lineup. Prospect-wise, just let me make sure. I'm not going to fix up the lines. That doesn't matter. I just want to make sure that we have the correct players in the lineup at the moment. I think Max McCormick was one of the players that was scratched. So yeah, Batherson was in for him. And then defensively, we should be fine. Yeah, Murray and Leopold are scratches, but Cal Foote, in addition to this team, Skinner and Gustafson were good. Let me call up, again, Callahan and Cassian, and they can sit there as healthy scratches for the remainder of this season. Or, if we make trades, they'll get into the lineup. So, let's go ahead. Let's move until about a week out before deadline day. So, we'll go to the 21st and see how this team does. I mean, I can't imagine these changes will make us a better team. I mean, we lost Cody Ceci. Granted, Trampkin's only an overall point less. Goaltending-wise, we should be doing about the same, really. We haven't made any major changes to this team. We technically got 2 points worse for a backup goaltender and 1 point worse for a defenseman. The attributes themselves, speak to a different story, but in terms of an overall number, it is what it is. So we are a week out from the deadline. 20, 29, and 10 record. The Belleville Sens are still in playoff form. I'd like to think that they are going to make it. We are very much not going to make it, although Mike Hoffman, 35 points in 59 games, which again is not ideal in the slightest, but he is our leading scorer, which really paints the picture. What do we do moving forward? In terms of who I'm thinking of getting rid of, Hoffman, and that's up to you guys. I might look at shopping Bobby Ryan, but I don't think I'm going to move him until he has 1 year left on his deal. I think I'm going to keep Bobby Ryan just to keep that, just to take up cap space. Odds are I'm going to be putting him on the third line sooner rather than later, but still. And to be honest, I mean, if we trade Hoffman, these are that's the top 6 right there. Bottom line, that's the top 6, and we'll see who ends up on the third line. Probably Pajot. But in terms of trading Kevin Fiala, that's not going to happen. So the only guys I'm considering moving are Hoffman, Pajot, and Dzingel, just because they're both UFAs. Dzingel wants to resign, Pajot does not. Zach Smith can stay, that's fine. So Hoffman, Dzingel, and Pajot. That's what it comes down to. And then I might move a couple of other people, maybe like a Trampkin, just to make sure that I can get the right guys into the lineup at the AHL level. Maybe clear up some of that clutter. But for the most part, it's just down to what are we doing with those players in particular. Who stays, who goes. As we have added Mellock and Foot to the defense. Again, we still have Skinner and Gustafsson, although Skinner has struggled this season. So after a pretty shocking effort, we have shown our true colors in this episode, as once again we are falling just short. The minor changes, the slight additions we have made to the prospect pool, while it does help our situation, hasn't exactly helped the NHL situation, especially again when our top scorer has 35 points, which I can't help but think is probably the lowest point total for a team's leading scorer in the NHL. And that's what we're going to check. 51 points for Claude Giroux, 69 for Malkin. Funny. Evander Kane's at 39. 60 for Tarasenko, 71 for Stammer. Kadri and Matthews are there. 37 for Marchessault, 60 for Ovi, 58 for Laine. Let's see, is the 35-point total the lowest among team leaders in the NHL? If it, the only team I can think that might rival us is Detroit, because they were below us in the standings. That's it. That's the only team I expect to see that's below us in terms of this metric. And even then, Franz Nielsen, 43 points at an 80 overall right now. That is what this team is being outdone by. We're just not scoring goals. Period. So the decision is up to you guys. Help me decide the future of one Mike Hoffman, of Pajot and Dzingel as well. Those are the big decisions that need to be decided upon. There may be some other decisions that have to be made at the end of, or at the beginning of the next episode. But for now, those are the big ones. Of course, the future of Mike Hoffman in Ottawa is absolutely the biggest decision that has to be made. So guys, I hope you enjoyed this episode despite the struggles of this team. Perhaps it did get a little bit more interesting though. Again, with the Anderson trade and with the Cody Ceci trade, there were some other moves. Unfortunately, Quentin Hughes is already gone. But that does mean the trade blocks may be a bit different. That was the risk with simming forward a little bit like I did. I knew that was the risk, but hey, it is what it is. Colorado gets Jason Zucker and Jordan Greenway for Hughes, Gravel, and Kamenev, which is crazy. Toronto gets Whitecloud, a fourth and a fifth for a second, and defenseman Bailey Dhaliwal. Detroit gets Dmitry Orlov for a second and Sarah Noel. Anaheim gets Urho Vakanainen and Zachary Senyshyn for Nick Ritchie, Tyler Wotherspoon in the 5th. Nick Ritchie's the Bruin, that's hilarious. And then, of course, we had the Mellock trade, or the Ceci trade, the Anderson trade before that. So the trade blocks would certainly be different as well. But the question is, do we or don't we in terms of trading? Again, I hope you enjoyed the episode. You know what you can do to support this video and to support this channel, and I thank you for it. I'm looking forward to your feedback. We're in a very interesting time for this series. Do we trade Mike Hoffman? Is this Mike Hoffman's last full episode as an Ottawa Senator? We'll find out soon.